Hi, everyone, and welcome to Human Sexuality, Social Work 965. I am recording this sitting on a front porch, so if you hear traffic in the background, I apologize, but right now this is probably the quietest place where I am, and I'll give you some heads up on what's going on there in a little bit. So I'm going to leave it on full screen for me while I'm just going over, actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to reduce me to the corner so I can go over the syllabus. So hopefully you can see that screen now. So this course is 965. I often refer to courses by their numbers, and Human Sexuality Issues for Social Work. My name's Leah Doherty. I'm the professor for this course. As many of you have already realized, I prefer to be contacted by my cell versus email. You feel free to call me or text me pretty much between 7 a.m. and 11 p.m. Text is quite okay. I can usually shoot you a quick answer back, and if it's something more complicated than can be answered in a text message, I'll say something like, "Are you free to talk?" or "Give me a call when you can," or something like that. So I am going to do the perfunctory go over the course rationale and description before I go over the assignments. So the course rationale is that this course is an integral component of human sexuality is part of everybody. And as social workers, we need to be aware of all aspects and the nuances and the ways in which we can work with someone around issues of sexuality. And there are probably things that you never even considered to be, quote unquote, an issue of sexuality. Most of you have probably had first year courses, so human behavior in the social environment, ethics, policy, and your communities course. So we're going to build on all of those to look at the ways in which those first year courses influence human sexuality. So we will also look at theories as they relate, and the interconnection of theory to practice, so assessment to practice. Um, we, as a profession, we consistently affirm the right to self-determination, but that doesn't mean that we all agree on what that should look like or what people have the rights to do or not do, on how that should be practiced. So we're going to touch on some of those controversial or more nuanced aspects of human sexuality, everything from genital mutilation to abortion to birth control to child marriage to GLBT marriage to transgender to reparative therapy. So we're going to talk about the tough stuff, the tough things, to our parents and grandparents being sexual beings, which for some of us, that would be like enough right there. Don't say anymore. So I'm open to any topic that you're interested in. And if we haven't talked about something, please reach out to me. It is part of my getting to know you questionnaire to know what you'd like to see covered here. But every time I teach this course, it has a little bit of a life of its own in terms of moving to the interest of the student. But also you get to make this. I look very much at electives are your opportunity to expand your knowledge base in a practice area that hopefully you don't know a whole lot about. I always encourage students to take electives that aren't what they do on a day-to-day basis. And if this is something that you're familiar with, so for example, if you work at children and youth, or you work at a DV sexual assault provider, or you work with drug and alcohol, don't do all of your assignments about relationships in domestic violence or sexual assault unless it's something that you're new to or there's an aspect of it that you want to know more about. Challenge yourself, get outside your comfort zone, get outside your box. Do something on disordered eating and sexuality, or sexuality in older adults, or pregnancy prevention, any number of things we can come up with. If you're short on ideas, ask me. I'm pretty good at sending people in a different direction from what they do on a day-to-day basis. Okay, So I think we've done, kind of an intro of what this is, the rationale, that we are going to basically build on everything that you've learned thus far, or the things you're about to learn, and tie it into human sexuality. The description is that we will look at some of the theoretical perspectives, particularly lifespan, but the biological, psychological, sociological, as they relate to um, human sexuality and the intersection with practice, policy, and research. We'll look at the wide range of beliefs and behaviors related to sexuality, both within the United States and internationally. I welcome you to, look beyond, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, wherever it is that you live. Students in the past have looked at issues around sexuality in, African countries or in England. Um, I paused while the truck went by. We also will look at ethical dilemmas as it relates to this. Okay, the objectives. We will identify and explicate major theoretical concepts. We'll look at how they relate to practice, contemporary issues, policy research, the limitations of this research, look at issues of discrimination and oppression, your own values, and how they influence practice. And a big theme of this course is evidence-based practice, and I'll be coming and going over that multiple times throughout the course. So there is one required text. It's the Ingersoll and Satterley Sexuality Concepts for Social Workers. That is a fairly new text, 2016. It's more difficult to find because it is from a small publisher, Cognella. It's actually written by faculty at Westchester University in Pennsylvania, is one of the faculty. Then you are going to pick a memoir. I have a list on my Amazon page. I give you instructions in a little bit on how to access those wish lists, I think they're called, and pick a memoir. And so we'll go over that a little bit later. And then there'll be journal articles and other materials posted on Moodle. Okay, so now what do you need to do to get out of this class? So we have 6 weeks. We actually have about 6 weeks and a couple days because I will extend until beyond June 30th, which I think is what would be kind of 6 weeks, to give a couple extra days before grades are due for assignments. All right, so the first is there are 3 discussion forums. These are probably familiar to many of you, especially if you've taken an online or a hybrid course in the past. So I might do them a little bit different in that it's like 3 parts. You post your original post, then you have to respond to 2 classmates asking them questions as part of your response. And then you need to go back in and respond to any questions that you're asked. What I have found with forums is that they kind of become a little bit dry because somebody posts something, somebody says something, and there's not really interaction. So this is my attempt, and it seems this is now the 3rd semester I'm doing this, and students seem to like it. So it does mean, though, that you need to go back into your forum and follow the due dates that'll be on Moodle in terms of when things are due. I use midnight or 11:59 of the day. So if they say it's due on Friday, it means Friday at midnight. Okay. People ask me, how many words does this have to be? I've done away with a word count because it made people crazy. What I'm really looking for is that you respond thoroughly. So, and in more than one sentence, because this is a time to write, reflect, and educate. You can share things that may educate your classmates and me. I learn a lot every time I teach this course. So please put into the forums, as much as you can to help, but not only yourself, but to help your classmates. Okay. All right, chat sessions. This is something that I think I'm the only one at Marywood currently doing this. I started this maybe 2 years ago when I began to do more online courses. I will use Google Hangouts. If you've never used Hangouts before, it's a quick phone call from me and I will tell you how to get it set up. There will be 3 chats. They're 30 minutes each. I will post multiple times during the weeks that we have chats. There are 2 sections of this course. So if I post a chat that says Thursday at 7 p.m., I'll leave 3 spots for section 1 and 3 spots for section 2. That way we'll have cross fertilization amongst the 2 classes. If for some reason, you go to sign up and none of the times that still have open slots are work for you, please just give me a call. There's lots I can do. Sometimes I end up adding another time. Sometimes, I'll sneak a 4th person in, or maybe it may have 3 in your section, but only 1 in the other section. So, I can make some adjustments. So it involves you signing up and being in communication with me if it doesn't work. When it is time for the chat, what you'll do is go onto Google Hangouts, and it's like communicating on Messenger on Facebook or the old AOL chats. It's not a video chat, it's a type chat. We'll all be just texting back and forth to each other. I'll pose a question and you all respond, with your thoughts. It's like having classroom conversation, except you're typing. Okay, so there are 3 of those. To make note, right here, there is the week of June 18th. There will be both a chat and a forum due that week. So just pay attention to that. All right, there are 2 quizzes. They're each worth 10 points. This reminds me to say to you, don't pay attention to Moodle when it says a percentage of something. We are building points. So you are working up to a grade based on your total number of points, not a percentage of a certain number on an assignment. I will give you 11 questions, but the high score will be 10, and the majority will be based on the reading, probably maybe 8 of the questions, and 3 will be based on LSW study materials. So what I'm talking about is they're going to be scenario type questions related to human sexuality, probably asking you things like what should the worker do first, or what's the best thing for the worker to do. Just getting you familiar with those types of questions. And I will give you some pointers before that. I will also post a study guide the week of the quiz telling you specifically what to focus on in the readings, because it will include, the majority of it will come from the text. There may be a little bit from some of the outside readings that I post, but you will know very clearly what to study for the quiz. Okay? And there's the 2 weekends. They will open on Friday at noon and either close on Sunday at midnight or maybe Monday on midnight. I haven't decided yet how we'll do that, but probably maybe Monday. So you'll have a couple days. You log on. They are timed. You get 20 minutes to do the quiz. So you log on, do the quiz, and it's at your own convenience. Okay, the next assignment is the human sexuality issue reaction paper. This is kind of your first assignment that's due. It's due in 2 weeks. June 3rd. You're going to locate in the media some sort of story about an issue relevant to human sexuality and social work practice. Not necessarily social work practice specifically in the article, but an issue that is in the news that can be related to social work. You'll find this assignment most interesting if you pick something that intrigues you. And again, not necessarily maybe something that you deal with on a day-to-day basis if you're currently working. And then you're going to write a couple-page paper, including at least 3 related literature material. These can be journal articles, they can be kind of reports from the internet. Basically, the way I look at this is you're all going to be lifelong learners when you finish this MSW program, or at least I hope you will be. And so when you read something in the newspaper, how do you go then and get more information as it relates to our profession? How do you go look up what's currently being done in terms of treatment for this, or what's being done in your own community, or what's the history of this issue in our profession? So the goal of the paper is that you start out by telling me a little bit about the newspaper article or media article that you read, and then bring in the additional resources to better inform me as you're informing yourself, and then have a conclusion at the end. Okay. So there'll be a little bit more detail when I post it up on Moodle, the Dropbox type thing, but basically that summarizes it. So please make sure APA format, if you have any questions about what that means, but you do not need an abstract. I know that for research courses and some other courses, you're required to include an abstract. You don't need an abstract, just a cover page, the paper, and the reference page. Same thing on the policy assignment. That's due June 17th. this has two parts. The first is you're going to identify a state or federal legislation enacted in the last 5 years related to human sexuality. Again, think broadly. You'll do a